Hi guys, I'm France.
And I'm Melvin.
And this is the story
Of how we met. So we met on the airplane.
the old-fashioned way.
Those drink napkins do work. I was a passenger.
And I was a flight attendant on that flight. We were going from Minneapolis to Anchorage.
During the summertime, thankfully.
Yes.
Anchorage gets a little cold. During the flight, I was in the extra leg room section. I'm 6'1", so anybody that's tall
He needs a little space.
needs a little bit of space. I was in a window seat and I was doing some work for my company. And I had an adult beverage right next to my oversized iPad, or as most know, the iPad Pro. And the gentleman sitting in the middle was with his wife. They were rearranging some stuff, and sheer happenstance, they knocked my iPad, which knocked my drink, and as the domino effect goes, I get a lot of liquor all over my jeans, so either somebody thought I was a wino or extremely clumsy. In this case, it just was a divine intervention, as we say with our story.
Definitely.
So I tried to get the attention of the other flight attendant who was in the row behind me, assisting the passengers in the row, asking what they want to drink, what they wanted for snacks. And I'm very soft spoken. I've heard that from lots of friends and family.
Oh yeah, Melvin's like, excuse me.
I'm polite.
Excuse me. She didn't notice, but I noticed. So I stopped and he told me what happened. I gave him some napkins and another drink since he spilled his.
And riding on, at least in my past experience, riding on her carrier hasn't always been as delightful as many people's flying experiences. So this was shock to me. I thought, hey, this flight crew is going above and beyond what I normally see when riding as a passenger. So I took the in-flight survey and I said, let me provide some feedback. So hopefully credit is given to those that are attending to the passengers above what is normally experienced.
So me and a few other flight attendants are in the back galley, in the back kitchen area on the airplane. And we're sitting down, service is over, and Melvin comes to the back and he doesn't say any preference, like any pretext. He just no idea what he's going to say, no idea why he wants this.
So hear me out though. I wrote the above and beyond. I get to the end of it, and anytime you send in a survey or, hey, Melissa helped me or Joan helped me, you want to give their name. You don't just want to say the attendant helped. The attendant helped me, because I feel like that just goes into a black hole and they're just like, oh yeah, they did their job. So I walked to the back, had my iPad in hand. I just poked my head behind the curtain. Hey, excuse me,
He
thanks
goes,
for the flight. Can I have your
what's your
names?"
guys' names? And I think we all looked at him like, did somebody make this guy upset?
Listen, the side eye was crazy.
Because
The side eye
nobody
was
wanted to give him our
crazy.
names. So I was like, well, what's going on?
In fact, this is how it went. She's like, I'm France, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so. I was like, all right, cool. I'm from the East Coast, no offense taken. But I'm pretty sure
It was very
there was a lot of shade
do you
going
need
on.
it? Why? So I gave him some of our names and he took his iPad and went back to his seat. Didn't think anything of it. We were like, maybe. Well, I guess we did technically think something of it. For the rest of the flight, Melvin got a little bit of extra attention, a little bit of extra cookies, some extra check-ins. Are you okay? Do you need anything? And I think that was from everybody, just to
Listen,
if he had a complaint,
so worth it.
just to go ahead and smooth it over just a bit, because you never know. Truthfully, people get upset over things outside of your control, and anytime you can de-escalate a situation, that's what you're supposed to try to do.
Only thing that was escalated was the amount of alcohol that I was getting from the crew. So it was all right in my book. But during this moment of, extra treats, extra beverages, I thought to myself, watching her work, I said, wow, she's really attractive. But it's not my nature to bother anybody while they're working. Just because I don't like to be bothered while I'm working. I like to kind of get the task done. So I thought to myself, I don't know. So I said, let me test the waters. So they give you that little drink napkin and, it has whatever slogan on it, Coca-Cola or, whatever the airline is. So I wrote a little note on there and asked her out to coffee in Minneapolis sometimes. And I waited till trash service was coming around. And of course, they're taking all the trash. So I handed it to her. And of course, like I said, I've had a few beverages. Didn't think this through all the way. What do you think she does?
I threw it in the trash because I'm picking up trash.
So thankfully, I had one more of these. I can't remember. I think you call them coveralls, but they're like
a paper towel.
They're like a Bounty Quicker Picker Upper, if you want to use a reference. I had one more of these left. And I said, okay, I'll write on here, and I'll give it to her when I get off the airplane. No big deal. So we land in Anchorage. Captain does a great landing. He comes back to the boarding door, and he's standing there like Superman. You know how they kind of, yeah, that's me.
Very proud.
Very proud. Anyway. There was a little exchange between the captain, though, and the aircraft cleaners. They come on the aircraft, and they were kind of in the seat, but slightly in the way. So there was a little interaction there. And based on their interaction, I said, you know what, let me get my stuff and get off. I don't want to be in the way.
I don't want to rattle anybody's feathers.
Yeah, not after that exchange. So I had 3 bags that I carried with me for work. I have a briefcase for my technical documents. I have my backpack, and then just my roller suitcase. So my roller suitcase was across from me. I had my backpack in the seat, grab them, and I get off the airplane, and I think to myself, oh man, I forgot my briefcase. It's in the back. I had to go back further.
And for just a side note, that always drives me, in my head, it drives me so crazy because I can never understand how people accidentally leave bags on the airplane.
If you're in a rush, though.
I can never understand it. The amount of people that will leave full-on suitcases, duffel bags, purses.
Or take the wrong bag.
But, I mean, I'm just like, how did you leave a whole bag?
But we're human, if you're in a rush, or if your mind is, occupied with something that may have transpired when you turn your phone on, you're like, oh man, and then it happens.
I guess.
So I'm standing on the jet bridge, and I'm standing where people will usually pick up like the wheelchairs or their strollers and stuff. So it's me, another agent there, and we're just, shooting the breeze. And here's my now wife standing at the boarding door saying bye to everybody, looking all cute, demure, So she's standing there, the captain's in the aisle, and now comes the other co-pilot. And now there's extra flight attendants coming up. And soon, by the end of this thing, there's probably about 7 to 9 people standing there.
We were all just standing at the boarding door saying goodbye. And then looking out the door, this guy is still standing here.
Sorry, that's our dog. So imagine this, you're standing there, you're trying to make conversation, and, she's saying goodbye. And then when nobody's coming, you have 7 to 9 people looking at you, just kind of like. And so I was a little intimidated. Finally, the coworker that couldn't hear me before speaks up and says, can we help you? And I said, I have a bag on board, I'd like to come get it. She says, oh yeah, come on board. So I get my bag. Hi, Winston. I get my bag, and then I head on up, and I'm like a dog with his tail in between his legs. I'm like, you know what? I just lost my chance. Well, as I'm walking up the jet bridge, comes down a gate agent supervisor, and she says, hey, can you close the door when you get to the top? And I said, hey, can you help me out real quick? And imagine this older, sweet lady, maybe about 5 foot, and she says, sure. I said, this girl at the boarding door, she's wearing a blue dress, glasses, her name is Franz, she's about 5'2", and she's looking at me, she's like, I was like, and knowing that interaction, I said, if it's a big deal, I'll go back down, I'll give it to her. She says, nope, I got it. Her name is Franz, 5'2". She's at the boarding door, blue dress, glasses. I got it. Okay, cool. So I walk up, I close the boarding door, and me thinking, I said, this is going to go nowhere.
So
she kind of gave me the cold shoulder.
The sweet gate agent comes down in Anchorage. She has a note in her hand, and she goes, which one of you guys is Franz? And I said, oh, that's me. So she comes to the front, and she goes, oh, this is for you, and hands me a note. And Melvin and I didn't have, I feel like, that much interaction throughout the flight, but I definitely knew that the note was from Melvin. He was very respectful and like not super pushy or anything. But sometimes you just, when you know, you're just like, okay, I know who this is from. So she was like, do you know who this is from? I said, yeah, I think I do. She hands me the note and I open it and it says coffee in Minneapolis sometime with his name and his phone number. And I was like, oh, this guy's asking me on a date. So then the gate agent goes, oh, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I mean...
And she had recently been divorced too, so she was really curious about what was going to happen.
I mean, I feel like when people get hit on in front of, or like get asked out in front of a lot of other people, like everybody's very, very involved. Very involved in your decision-making skills. Very like interested. Like, what are you going to do? Tell us what you're going to do. Like you're in school again. So I was just like, well, I guess I'll text him back so that the ball's in his court. I mean, I don't know where this guy lives. I mean, we're in Anchorage right now. Does he live here? I don't know. So I'll just text him back. And then I looked at one of the flight attendants and I said, well, this will be fun, if even for a little while. And she looked at me and she says, or forever. We both kind of giggled and walked away. Well, long story short, I mean, we're 4 years married now.
6 years together.
Yeah.
6.5.
So she was right. She was pretty close.
But as I walked to my hotel van, the hotel van literally just pulled up. I'm loading my bags on board, and I get, your typical vibration from a text message. So I sit down and it says, hey, this is French. Your message was well received. And like a little kid on Christmas Day that, had just like got the gift that he or she wanted. I'm in the back, I'm like, yes. And everybody in the front of the van just kind of turns around and they're like, yeah. Okay, I'm good, thanks. Sorry about that. But we exchanged text messages for about a month. We ended up going on our first date a month later in Dallas.
Yeah, and the rest is history. But this story just goes to show, like, you will not miss your opportunity to meet the person who you're supposed to meet. Like, so many people, like, I was a bit older when I met Melvin. I think I was 26 or 27.
27.
And Melvin was 35?
No,
34?
33.
Oh, excuse me. Melvin was 33 and I was 27. But that just goes to show, I mean, when you're 27, you feel like a little bit older. And if you're not in a serious relationship, you feel like maybe you're missing the boat. And again, when you're 33, like you feel like maybe, okay, did I miss something? Do I need to retrace my steps and see what she's doing? But this story just goes to show, like, when God has somebody for you, you're going to run into each other.
Plus, I was in my Jesus age. So,
okay. 33, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But this is just an encouraging story for you all to know how we met and keep the hope alive.
Absolutely.